What if I told you the greatest battles of World War II weren't fought on the front lines, but in hotel rooms, radio stations, and shadows where one wrong whisper could end everything? From double agents who fooled entire armies to secret missions, Hollywood barely dared to film these spy thrillers reveal the hidden war beneath the headlines. Some are stylish, others brutal, but all will have you questioning who's really on your side. Number 15. The Eye of the Needle, 1981. Few films capture the paranoia of espionage like The Eye of the Needle. Donald Sutherland delivers one of his coldest performances as a German agent, stranded on a remote Scottish island after years of passing intelligence to the Axis. His code name, Needle, isn't just poetic, it's a warning. Every move he makes is calculated, precise, and deadly quiet. What makes this film unforgettable isn't just its tension, it's the isolation. While most World War II spy stories race across Europe, this one traps you on a fog-soaked island with two people, a lonely woman and a man whose charm hides something monstrous. Director Richard Marquand, who later made Return of the Jedi, turns silence into suspense. Each rustle of the wind feels like a clue. Each conversation might be a confession. The production filmed off the coast of Scotland under brutal weather conditions, with the cast enduring freezing rain to achieve the film's stark realism. Critics praised its slow-burn intensity, comparing it to Hitchcock's Notorious, but stripped of glamour. Sutherland's performance is pure menace, a masterclass in subtle acting. When the final confrontation comes, it's not about nations, it's about survival. The Eye of the Needle reminds us that in war, the most dangerous battles are the ones no one sees. Number 14. OSS 117. Cairo Nest of Spies, 2006. Before Austin Powers or Kingsman ever parodied the spy world, France gave us something far sharper. OSS 117. Cairo Nest of Spies. On the surface, it looks like a glossy retro adventure, but beneath the humor lies one of the cleverest reimaginings of World War II's secret services. Jean Dujardin, years before winning an Oscar for The Artist, plays Hubert Bonisseur de la Bath, a charming but hilariously incompetent agent modeled after post-war French heroes. The movie is set in 1955, but built entirely around World War II's spy legacy. The OSS, America's Office of Strategic Services, the precursor to the CIA. It pokes fun at Cold War politics, colonial arrogance, and outdated hero tropes with perfect precision. Director Michel Hazanavicius recreated the visual language of 50s spy films, complete with exaggerated lighting, dated dialogue, and Technicolor sets. Every detail from Dujardin's swagger to the absurd plot lines about missing documents and secret radio codes is both homage and satire. Yet beneath the laughs is an uncomfortable truth. The myths built around World War II spies weren't always noble. The movie invites us to laugh at them, but also to recognize how propaganda turned ordinary men into exaggerated legends. Witty, stylized, and surprisingly smart. OSS 117. Cairo. Nest of Spies proves that even comedy can uncover the truth about the lies spies tell themselves. Number 13. Enigma, 2001. Long before The Imitation Game, there was Enigma, a quiet cerebral thriller about the codebreakers of Bletchley Park. But unlike most war movies about geniuses, this one doesn't celebrate victory. It swims in paranoia, heartbreak, and betrayal. Directed by Michael Apted and produced by Mick Jagger. Yes, that Mick Jagger. The film follows a young mathematician, played by Dougray Scott, who's racing to decode Nazi messages before Allied convoys are wiped out. But when his former lover vanishes from the code-breaking center, the line between love and espionage begins to blur. What makes Enigma stand out is its tone. It's not about explosions or heroics, it's about the claustrophobia of secrets. The sets were built to mirror the real Bletchley huts, cramped, smoky, and filled with ticking clocks. Kate Winslet delivers a sharp, understated performance as a civilian analyst who might know more than she lets on. Historically, the film was praised for capturing how World War II's spy work wasn't glamorous, it was exhausting. Every cipher cracked meant lives saved, but every mistake meant ships lost. The movie's tension builds not from gunfire, but from the relentless race against invisible enemies. Enigma is proof that some of the most dangerous missions in World War II were fought not in trenches, but on paper, and that sometimes the people saving the world never even left their desks. Number 12. Carve Her Name with Pride, 1958. This British classic tells a true story so powerful it doesn't need exaggeration. Carve Her Name with Pride follows Violette Szabo, a young mother who joined Britain's Special Operations Executive, the shadow organization that sent ordinary citizens behind enemy lines. Played with stunning depth by Virginia McKenna Szabo, isn't portrayed as a hardened soldier. She's portrayed as human, scared, determined, and heartbreakingly brave. After losing her husband in combat, she volunteers for one of the war's most dangerous missions in occupied France. The film's strength lies in its understatement. There are no dramatic speeches or overblown effects. Instead, director Lewis Gilbert focuses on realism, the grueling training sequences, the coded messages, the near impossible odds. McKenna trained with real SOE veterans, and the filmmakers used declassified wartime files to recreate actual operations. At its release, audiences were stunned by how unsentimental it was. It didn't glorify espionage, it showed its cost. Critics called it a film that understands courage without needing to shout about it. Violette Szabo's real-life bravery earned her one of Britain's highest honors, but this movie ensures her story reached far beyond the archives. It's not just a spy film, it's a memorial in motion, reminding viewers that the war's most dangerous agents didn't always wear uniforms. Number 11. Charlotte Gray, 2001. On paper, Charlotte Gray might look like a romantic drama, but it's much more than that. Cate Blanchett stars as a Scottish woman who joins the French resistance to find her missing lover, only to discover that the fight for freedom demands more than personal loyalty. Directed by Gillian Armstrong, the movie's tone is hauntingly quiet. It's about the gray areas of espionage, the moments when right and wrong collapse under the pressure of war. Blanchett's performance is icy, yet emotional. You feel every choice weighing on her as she navigates occupied France, constantly pretending to be someone else. The production filmed in rural France, using authentic resistance locations. Historical advisors ensured even the smallest details from resistance leaflets to the layout of safe houses were accurate. Critics compared the film's mood to The English Patient, but with sharper moral stakes. What makes Charlotte Gray special is how it portrays identity as its own battlefield. Her code name, her mission, her love, all start to blur until she barely remembers who she was before the war. It's not just a story about a spy, it's a story about losing oneself in the act of pretending. It may not have the explosions or glamour of other spy thrillers, but it leaves a deeper scar. Charlotte Gray asks a question most spy films avoid. What happens to those who survive the secrets? Number 10. Operation Crossbow, 1965. This one isn't just a spy movie. It's a full-blown conspiracy thriller dressed in wartime realism. Operation Crossbow dives deep into the British mission to uncover Germany's secret rocket program. George Peppard stars as a civilian engineer turned undercover agent who infiltrates enemy territory to stop a project that could change the course of the war. What makes this film stand out is its tone. It's not about glory or medals. It's about sacrifice, deception, and the terrifying speed at which technology reshaped warfare. The film splits its focus between the British command, trying to piece together clues, and the German scientists racing against time. Director Michael Anderson uses real wartime footage and newly declassified details to ground the story in chilling authenticity. The production filmed inside real underground tunnels and air bases in England and Italy, lending every sequence a sense of claustrophobic realism. Sophia Loren appears in a brief but unforgettable role, bringing a tragic human element to the relentless espionage. Critics praised its realism, but warned viewers to expect a cold, brutal narrative rather than traditional heroism. By the end, Operation Crossbow makes one thing clear. Victory often depended on the spies no one remembers. These were the unsung players whose missions never made headlines, but saved thousands of lives. It's a film that doesn't glamorize espionage. It exposes it for what it truly was. A race against time, fought in silence. Number 9. The Lives of Others, 2006. Technically set in East Germany after the war, The Lives of Others captures the exact same paranoia that fueled World War II's espionage machine. It's the story of surveillance loyalty and how easily power turns those who spy into prisoners themselves. Ulrich Mühe gives a haunting performance as a Stasi officer assigned to monitor a playwright suspected of disloyalty. What begins as a simple mission slowly unravels into obsession and moral awakening. The film never shouts at whispers. Every detail from the crackle of a recording reel to the flicker of a lamp in the corner builds unbearable tension. Director Florian Henkel von Donnersmarck insisted on historical precision, using original East German recording equipment, and even consulting real former Stasi officers to ensure accuracy. The production shot in the actual Ministry of State Security headquarters in Berlin, where thousands of lives were once documented in secret files. The result is more than a spy movie, it's a mirror held up to history. The Lives of Others isn't about heroes and villains. It's about people lost in systems that reward silence and punish empathy. It won the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film, and even decades later, it remains a lesson in how easily surveillance can become self-destruction. For viewers who crave subtlety over spectacle, this is espionage at its quietest and its most devastating. Number 8. Five Fingers, 1952. If you think modern spy thrillers invented the twist ending, think again. Five Fingers did it first, and arguably better. Based on the true story of Elisa Basna, a Turkish valet who sold British secrets to Germany, this film exposes one of the most shocking espionage operations of the war. James Mason stars as the man who trades access for fortune, turning information into a dangerous form of currency. He's not driven by ideology or patriotism, just greed. That's what makes Five Fingers so compelling. There are no good guys here, only opportunists navigating chaos. Director Joseph L. Mankiewicz filmed extensively in Ankara, recreating the tension of a world where everyone is pretending to be someone else. The film's production relied heavily on recently declassified intelligence files, and the script was reportedly reviewed by former OSS officers who recognized more than a few familiar details. When the movie premiered, audiences were stunned by its moral ambiguity. Critics hailed it as the thinking man's spy thriller, decades before that phrase became common. The pacing is taut, the dialogue razor-sharp, and Mason's performance quietly hypnotic. The final twist, without spoiling it, remains one of cinema's most ironic conclusions. Five Fingers teaches that in espionage, betrayal doesn't always come from the enemy. Sometimes it comes from the man serving your tea. Number 7. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, 1965. Forget glamorous tuxedos and fancy gadgets. This is the anti-James Bond. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold is as bleak as espionage gets, and that's exactly why it's brilliant. Richard Burton plays Alec Leamas, a burned-out British agent, sent on one final mission that may or may not be a setup. Shot in cold monochrome, the movie feels like it was filmed through a layer of cigarette smoke and regret. Director Martin Ritt captures the gray moral universe of John le Carré's novel with eerie precision. Every conversation drips with distrust. Every smile hides an agenda. Burton, already one of Britain's finest actors, delivers one of his most controlled performances. His Liamas is not a hero. He's a man stripped of illusions, trapped in a system that chews up everyone who serves it. The production filmed on location in Berlin, just a few years after the wall went up, adding real tension to scenes that already feel dangerous. At release, critics called it the death of romantic espionage. Gone were the dashing heroes and patriotic speeches. In their place stood moral exhaustion and betrayal. It won multiple awards and remains the template for every realistic spy drama since. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold isn't thrilling because of action. It's thrilling because it feels true. This isn't a movie about saving the world. It's about what happens when saving it costs your soul. Number 6. The Man Who Never Was, 1956. This film tells one of the most ingenious and true spy stories of the entire war. The Man Who Never Was dramatizes Operation Mincemeat, the real British deception plan that used a single body and a handful of forged documents to mislead German intelligence about the Allied invasion. Clifton Webb stars as Lieutenant Commander Ewan Montague, the mastermind behind the plan. His challenge: convince the enemy that a drowned courier carried top-secret invasion plans. The result was one of the most effective misdirection operations in military history. Director Ronald Neame handled the story with documentary precision. The production worked with the British Admiralty, using genuine wartime correspondence and consulting surviving members of the original team. The tone is understated, more suspenseful than flashy, focusing on the cold, methodical genius required to fool an entire intelligence network. The movie's pacing mirrors the operation itself, slow, tense, and unpredictable. Every detail matters. The placement of a photograph, the wording of a letter, even the watch on a corpse's wrist. It's this meticulous attention to realism that makes the film so unnerving. When it premiered, audiences were stunned to learn how close this fiction was to fact. Decades later, historians still cite The Man Who Never Was as one of the most faithful depictions of real intelligence work. It's proof that espionage doesn't always involve gadgets or car chases. Sometimes it's about a plan so strange it only works because no one would dare believe it was real. Number 5. Allied, 2016. What if the person you loved most might also be your enemy? That's the question at the heart of Allied, a romantic spy thriller from director Robert Zemeckis that turns wartime trust into a deadly gamble. Brad Pitt plays Canadian intelligence officer Max Vatan, who falls in love with French resistance fighter Marianne Beauséjour, played by Marion Cotillard. Their partnership begins in Casablanca, where they pose as husband and wife to assassinate a German official. The chemistry is instant, but the story's real spark comes after the mission, when love collides with suspicion. Shot across London, Morocco, and the Canary Islands, the film is a love letter to classic World War II espionage stories. Zemeckis fills every frame with vintage detail. Coded messages hidden in piano music, secret meetings under moonlight, and costumes so accurate that historians praised their authenticity. Yet beneath the glamour lies unease. When Pitt's character learns his wife may be working for the other side, the film shifts from romantic epic to psychological thriller. Critics were divided. Some admired its old-fashioned elegance. Others found its restraint too polished. But almost everyone agreed on one thing: its heartbreak felt real. The tension doesn't come from gunfire, but from a glance across a kitchen table where neither lover knows if the other is lying. Allied asks a timeless question: can love survive when loyalty is tested by war? The answer, as Zemeckis makes clear, is as complicated as espionage itself. Number 4. Where Eagles Dare, 1968. Few spy films mix chaos, deception, and sheer adrenaline like Where Eagles Dare. Richard Burton and Clint Eastwood lead an undercover mission so tangled in double crosses that even the audience barely knows who's telling the truth until the final moments. The story follows a team of Allied commandos sent to rescue a captured general from a heavily guarded castle in the Bavarian Alps. But as the plot unfolds, It becomes clear that the mission is more about uncovering traitors than rescuing heroes. Every twist adds another layer to the labyrinth of lies. Director Brian G. Hutton and screenwriter Alistair MacLean, who also wrote The Guns of Navarone, designed the film as both an action spectacle and a logic puzzle. The aerial stunts, cable car fights, and explosions are pure blockbuster entertainment, but the script's structure built around false identities and psychological games keeps it firmly rooted in espionage tradition. Filmed in Austria's snow-capped mountains, the production was notoriously grueling. Eastwood performed most of his own stunts, including the hair-raising cable car sequence that still looks real decades later. Burton, already battling exhaustion, relied on instinct rather than rehearsal, giving the film its natural tension. Critics called it a chess match disguised as a gunfight. Every clue, every betrayal snaps into place by the end, making Where Eagles Dare not just thrilling, but intellectually satisfying. It's a reminder that in wartime, the line between spy and soldier can vanish faster than a parachute in the clouds. Number 3. Inglourious Basterds, 2009. When Quentin Tarantino tackles World War II espionage, you know it won't be a standard history lesson. Inglourious Basterds turns spycraft into cinematic theater, a mix of tension, dark humor, and audacious revisionism that could only come from Tarantino's mind. Set in occupied France, the story follows two separate missions: a Jewish resistance plot to destroy a Nazi propaganda event, and a group of rogue Allied agents hunting enemies behind enemy lines. Both stories converge in one of cinema's most explosive finales. What makes this film remarkable is its tone. It feels like a classic spy thriller rewritten by a pulp novelist. Every conversation is a duel, every smile a trap. The opening farmhouse interrogation scene, 10 minutes of dialogue that could shatter glass with tension, is a masterclass in psychological warfare. Christoph Waltz's performance as Colonel Hans Landa redefined cinematic villains, earning him an Oscar and cementing the film's status as a modern classic. Production took place across Germany and France, with Tarantino insisting on period-accurate sets and even typewriters sourced from World War II museums. He called it a spy movie disguised as a fairy tale, and he wasn't wrong. Inglourious Basterds may bend history, but its core truth remains. Stories can be weapons too. It celebrates the power of deception, how a single disguise, a forged identity, or a whispered plan can change the fate of nations. It's espionage turned into art, and Tarantino makes sure you feel every ounce of danger wrapped in charm. Number 2. Bridge of Spies, 2015. Directed by Steven Spielberg and written by the Coen brothers. Bridge of Spies doesn't explode, it simmers. Based on the real-life prisoner exchange between the United States and the Soviet Union, it's a masterclass in negotiation humanity and quiet heroism born from intelligence work. Tom Hanks plays James Donovan, an insurance lawyer recruited to defend captured Soviet spy Rudolf Abel, portrayed with chilling calm by Mark Rylance. As the Cold War intensifies, Donovan finds himself mediating a secret exchange in divided Berlin. Spielberg's direction is pure precision. Instead of focusing on gadgets or gunfire, he builds tension through ethics, empathy, and diplomacy. The film's most haunting scenes take place in rooms filled with nothing but silence and cigarette smoke, where every word carries the weight of war. The production was shot in both Brooklyn and the real Glienicke Bridge in Germany, where the historic exchange took place. Rylance's quiet dignity earned him an Academy Award, while critics hailed the film as a spy thriller for grown-ups. Unlike most espionage stories, Bridge of Spies doesn't glorify deception, it humanizes it. The film reminds us that the real courage in espionage isn't just risking one's life, it's holding on to one's conscience in a world that rewards deceit. In a genre often driven by action, Spielberg proves that the sharpest weapon is still conversation. Number 1. The Imitation Game, 2014. At the top of the list, sits The Imitation Game, a film that redefined how we see World War II espionage, not as daring field missions, but as battles fought through intellect and secrecy. Benedict Cumberbatch stars as Alan Turing, the British mathematician whose code-breaking machine helped decipher the Enigma system and shorten the war by years. But this isn't just a story about genius, it's a story about isolation, moral burden, and the cost of secrecy. Director Morton Tildum transforms a cerebral subject into riveting drama. The film's rhythm mirrors Turing's thought process: fast, fragmented, brilliant. The set designers reconstructed Bletchley Park with obsessive historical detail, down to the sound of the rotors inside the bomb machine. Keira Knightley co-stars as Joan Clark, a fellow cryptanalyst whose brilliance often went unacknowledged, a quiet but powerful nod to the forgotten women of wartime intelligence. The production worked closely with historians and surviving veterans of Bletchley Park, ensuring every event resonated with authenticity. Cumberbatch's performance captures Turing's blend of arrogance, vulnerability, and genius so precisely that it feels like watching history breathe. The film won the Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay and became one of the most discussed spy dramas of the decade, not because of explosions or missions, but because it revealed that saving millions sometimes required living entirely unseen. The Imitation Game is both tribute and tragedy, a reminder that behind every coded message was a human heart trying to make sense of chaos. So there you have it, the 15 spy movies that reveal the war most people never saw. From codes and lies to courage hidden in plain sight, these stories remind us that victory isn't always about strength. It's about outsmarting the impossible. Which of these do you think captures the secret heart of World War II best? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more cinematic deep dives into the unseen side of history.